Hey everyone, I'm Mark Freeman, your host for today's Graybeard Wisdom Podcast. Today's guest is Andrew Watling, Senior Director of Dining Services at the University of Alabama, where he oversees one of the most dynamic and high-volume campus dining programs in the country. But Andrew isn't here to talk about food service as a student job or a campus convenience. He's here to talk about the student as a customer. The students eating with Andrew today are tomorrow's corporate diners. They're tech-savvy, wellness-aware, and experience-driven. They expect personalization, speed, transparency, and emotional resonance in every bite. And if corporate dining wants to stay relevant, it needs to understand what's shaping their expectations now. Andrew's role puts him at the forefront of this shift. He sees how students respond to menu design, mobile ordering, sustainability efforts, and service culture. And today, he's speaking directly to corporate dining liaisons, those shaping the next generation of workplace hospitality, about what it takes to meet evolving demands. Let's get started. Hey, Andrew, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm here at a conference in Palm Springs, and so my background is a little bit different than it normally is. So, so it's a bit of a challenge, but anyway, I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad you're on the call here. So, maybe tell us a little bit about your program. Just a little intro of how I know it's a big program, and
Yeah.
give us a little rundown on how it all shapes out.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I'm the director of the of dining at the University of Alabama, and we have a little over 40,000 students enrolled. So we are obviously a large
Wow.
university. In our campus dining program, we do about 50 to $55 million a year, and that includes all you care to eat resident dining, retail dining, national brands, in-house developed brands, coffee shops, convenience stores, you name it. We have it available on campus. So we have about 36 different locations. So no matter what a student needs or where they are on campus, we have something there to serve them.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. How
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
team members? I know you have a contractor, but how many team members do you
We
have
do.
staff?
We do. Yeah. So we have a contractor that obviously does the bulk of our food service programming. Our team within the university, we have about 12 staff members that manage the food service program, and that includes our building facilities maintenance team, our IT technicians, myself, and some of our other leadership, as well as our dietitians, which is an incredibly important role within the college landscape too.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that you're going to be speaking at our explosions meeting coming up,
Yes.
our audience is pretty much corporate food service, and I think a lot of the curiosity is that you're training the students to how to eat and what to eat and that sort of thing, and then we in the corporate world have to live with whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
think it's going to be good to kind of get a picture of how you're setting this up and what's going on with that. But let's start with maybe the resident dining and then go into the retail piece of it.
Hmm.
But so what does it look like when, somebody walks into your dining hall and, what does it smell like? What does it sound like? What are
Yeah.
the students
Yeah.
doing? What's the buzz, man?
Well, the first thing you'll see is that it's crowded. We
Good.
have we have a lot of students and never enough space to feed them. But the biggest thing that we notice and that we really want to promote with our students is, they're seeing the food being cooked in front of them. We have very little back of house hidden kitchen space, so our staff are up front. They're cooking food. You walk into one of our facilities, we have a wood-fired grill right as you walk in the front door. So you get the sights and the smells of food being cooked, and they see all of the steps of preparation so that they really know what that food went through before it gets to their plate. The staff are out front cooking them, action stations, really working. to deliver that food to them. And then we try to get them to mingle. We want our students to move around and to see all the different spaces and not just oh, I have my favorite spot. I'm going to go there, and I'm not going to explore everything else. We really try to pull them around so that they can see everything that's available and really get to experience all the different things that are on offer that day.
Well, and how do you do that? I mean,
Yeah.
your chefs or Sue's are, cooking, and I mean, are they conversing
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
customers and that sort of
yeah,
thing?
it's definitely important for us that we have a connection with our students. Our students love our staff. That's the best thing we have
Yep.
going for us. So when we set up our facilities, when we set up the way we operate, is we want to make sure that our students have that opportunity to talk to the staff and engage with the people who are making that food. We do that through social media as well. We tell the stories about the people that we have, so that then when our students come in, they have that recognition to say, "Oh, you're so and so. I just saw your story, and tell me about this," or "I want to try what you're making today." So we do that, but then just the way that we build and design the spaces, you have to really poke into the corners and really look for all the different things that are available. We try to get that circulation going. So we have food service and seating are all intermingled, and it really helps create a flow where our students really get to see kind of everything that's available and kind of work their way around.
So do they, I mean, you want all that, but do they
Yeah,
actually do that? Or, I mean, do they care, they're thinking about their academics
yeah,
or, whatever, and could care less about the food, right? I mean, but I'm
yeah.
guessing maybe it's the opposite of that.
Yeah, they definitely do. And obviously we have students who, they still come in, they know what they want, they go straight to it. But for the most part, we definitely see when our students come in, they're looking for lunch. This is their social hour. They're looking to find friends that they can sit with. They want to be able to disconnect
Sure.
and unwind, and they're looking for spaces that they can do that. Lunch, we still have a little bit more of that time crunch where, I still have to get in, eat, and then get to my next class. And then dinner for us is really where it slows down, and we see people really spending a significant amount of time in our facilities.
How long have you been at the account?
Yeah, I've been with the University of Alabama for just over a year. So this
Okay.
is the fourth university I've worked at. So we have different experiences across different campuses, but just over a year here.
Well, how I mean, he's been in the industry
Yeah.
for quite a while. How have things changed over the course of your career? I mean,
Hmm.
I know I spent some time in the college university world too, and I think the thing they were looking at was, expanding the service hours so the students could come in
Hmm.
late at
Hmm.
night, and and your breakfast was probably almost zero because they never get out of bed and that sort of thing. But how has things changed over time?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with student age people, everything changes so quickly, and it's
Yep.
it's our job to scramble sometimes and try to keep up with them. But what we've seen technology become the cool thing to have, and now it's really settled into just the expected thing to have. You don't get extra points for utilizing technology, but you have to have it.
Yep.
So that's certainly something that we're seeing, but I think we're seeing a real push towards individualization and customization that's still growing. Students want what they want, and they want it when they want it, and they want it exactly the way
Yeah.
that they want to get it. And so we're really, even in our resident facilities, you're not going to walk in and see big pans of casseroles and food pre-cooked and ready to go. You're seeing a lot of things where all the components are there, and then we're still building you a bowl or a plate as you go. And we've even started utilizing kind of restaurant style ticket systems within the resident dining hall where they go in, they order a meal, they hand their ticket to the staff, they go sit down somewhere, and then we, present them their meal exactly the way they want it. They seem to have really responded well to that because I think it gives them that customized feel within the framework that we can still provide. So that's been really exciting and interesting to see as well.
Well, yeah, and I remember back in the day, they were in a hurry, and so they didn't want to wait
Hmm.
for their food. And it sounds like maybe that's changed a little bit with regard to they
Yeah.
they prefer fresh food over, speed of service kind of a thing.
I think if they're going to the resident dining facilities, they want good quality food and they want the service that matches that. We certainly still have a significant population of our students that go do retail dining,
Yeah, tell me
especially
about
at
retail.
lunch.
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
that all about?
yeah. So our retail program is pretty extensive, and we have a large portfolio of national brand concepts. So we have two Chick-fil-A's on campus, Panda Express, Raising
Wow.
Cane's. Uh, we have a couple Subways. So there's a lot of different options within that kind of recognizable group. And then we have some local restaurant partners. We have a Mexican restaurant that's a local partner of ours, and we have a concept called Blends, which is actually a University of Alabama graduates started a smoothie bowl truck.
Uh-huh.
And so now we have four of those locations on campus. And now we have a poke bowl company that's the same kind of story with some students in our business school that started
Yeah.
a food truck, and we're working with them. So we have this kind of variety of different things to meet that retail need. They still love branded concepts that they recognize. Chick-fil-A will do business no matter what
Right.
you do. Raising Cane's is incredibly popular. Panda Express always has a line out the door. So those have been very, very successful. But we've then introduced other brands. We just launched a Chula on campus, which is a Indian barbecue national brand that's starting to gain
Yeah.
some traction around the college campus community, and that's been really successful. So branching out into kind of those next wave of flavors that people are looking for has been really good to see. But we can still always sell a Chick-fil-A sandwich with no problem on campus.
Well, and is there an advantage for the student to eat in a retail versus a dining hall? Or I mean, is it just a matter of convenience?
It's mostly going to be a matter of convenience. It's officially it's to their financial benefit to eat in the resident dining hall
Right.
for the
Right.
most part. So going with the retail option is really them putting that convenience or the desire for that food specifically above maybe some of the financial incentives. And we do have some what are essentially meal swipe exchanges that they can use. So a lot of our students utilize that, but these are students who are choosing to, in many cases, spend real money to go and purchase a retail meal on campus.
And they would prefer that over, the prepaid kind of dining hall thing, right?
Yeah, I think in some cases, I think, when they want the convenience of it or they want
Yeah.
to be able to grab something and take it, on the road with them or just the familiarity of, this is what I like, this is what I grew up having and I want to have it again. I think we see there's still a really strong pull for those brands to our students.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting to our audience because in the corporate world, there is some branding
Hmm.
but I don't think it's to the extent of what you've got going on and it's, that may be a trend that our corporate clients would, kind of entertain, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Uh,
think, it seems like we went through a phase where national brands weren't cool and it was cool to dislike
yeah.
the national brands and certainly different demographics, different parts of the country, I'm certain have different feelings about it. But it seems like this group that are coming in, um, they're on to the more elevated brands. They're looking at your Chick-fil-A's, your Chipotle's, your Cava's, some of those kind of nicer national brands compared to we just took a Wendy's off campus because it wasn't performing well. So some of those kind of older,
Uh-huh.
less high quality viewed brands aren't doing well. But those kind of slightly higher price point, higher end national brands really do seem to be resonating with them.
Well, so I don't know, maybe what the mix of national to local brands is,
Hmm.
is it higher with national brands or
Yeah, our campus certainly swings higher to national brands. I don't know that I would necessarily say that's the right mix, but it certainly seems to have worked well for us. The local brands have a really good place for us, and it really helps us to bring some kind of authentic voice to some of the things
Sure.
that we do. The in-house developed brands do struggle relative to their national brands. People don't recognize them in the same way. And in a
Yeah.
lot of those cases, I think it really is a matter of convenience. If I need a sandwich and I'm here, I'll go to the little deli. But if I have the time, I'm going to go
So you go there.
get something with a brand name on it.
Right, right. Well, so then you obviously have to choose what brands to bring in and
Hmm.
what's not. Like you said, performance is
Yeah.
probably based on financials, but I'm guessing there's a customer sat aspect of that too. So how do you make those decisions?
You talk to your students. I mean, we talk to our students just like anyone should talk to their customers and their
Yeah,
constituents, and you'll learn exactly what they want and what they're looking for. So, when we took Wendy's offline, it was performing below where we would expect, and taking up too much real estate for what it was doing. And
yeah.
when we surveyed our students, we asked them, hey, what type of food do you want to see on campus? And much to my surprise, the second highest requested cuisine to bring to campus was Indian food,
Oh,
which was a little surprising to me.
yeah,
And so we were looking at that space and thought, well, we'll pull that out and let's try Chula, which has been a great concept to bring to campus and really is doing some great work in the college space. Brought them in where they're very much a kind of a Chipotle style build your bowl, but with
uh-huh.
Indian flavors type of concept. Flop swapped that out over the summer, and we're seeing 2 to 3 times the sales over the previous concept in that space. So it's been a huge success. And the students that are into that, and that are excited about it, it really speaks to them, which has been really exciting to see. We have students who finally say like, oh, I have food that I recognize or food that feels
Yeah,
like home to me on campus. And then we have a whole nother set of students who say, I've never tried this before, but I really like it. And then I see them
yeah.
there 2, 3 times a week, and that's been really exciting to see.
So is it pulling all the business from Chick-fil-A?
No, absolutely not. No, it's always a risk with especially with a campus, but I think in the business segment as well, is that you have a somewhat captive audience. So you
Yeah,
always run the risk of if you open a new concept, all you're doing is just shifting dollars from one to the other. So the metric that I always try to look at is what new money is coming in. Is this driving new
yeah,
business? And something like that is pulling in new revenue for us. It's capturing grad students and faculty staff who aren't necessarily dining with us at such a high level.
sure.
And it's been capturing, it really has been catching the additional revenue and volume for us.
Yeah. Earlier you talked a little bit about technology and using technology, but
Mhm.
is that highly important to the students? I mean, the ability to
Mhm.
pay or I don't know, see the menus or hear the stories like you were talking about. I mean, is
Mhm.
that is that I mean, they're living in a technology world for sure.
They are, and it's definitely important. But like I said, you don't get any brownie points anymore for
Yeah.
having those services available, but you're going to hear from them if you don't.
Yeah.
And what we've seen for the most part over the last few years, I think, is that students want technology when they want it, and when they don't want it, they want to be able to turn it off or not
Yeah.
use the technology because they are a little bit more conscious of still having that human connection. I want to go talk to somebody. I want to go order from the person that's always there, and I want to have that kind of connection and see them. But then sometimes I don't want to do that. I want to be able to order it on my phone and walk up and not speak to anybody. So we've expanded mobile ordering capacity to essentially all of our retail locations, so you can order on your phone. And the when I started here, in the few places we had that didn't have mobile ordering available, when we survey the students and we talk to them, all they want is, well, why can't I mobile order there? Why can't I mobile order there? I need to be able to mobile order there. So they expect those things to be available, but they want to have the option to not use them. We seem to get more pushback when we force them into only utilizing those technology solutions
Yeah.
versus kind of giving them the choice of how they want to interact with it.
Well, and like you said earlier, they like the face-to-face contact,
Hmm.
with your staff. And again, that's the hospitality part of our business, right? So,
Exactly. It's the best thing we have going for us. So we need to make sure we don't lose that.
well, and so, I mean, the hot topic in technology these days is AI. And are
Mhm.
you, or is the contractor getting deep into AI, or is it still a kind of novice?
I think it's still very much kind of a new thing that we're really where we see it being used on our end and on the contractor, and it's kind of more of the back end, back of house,
Yeah.
food ordering, menu development type of thing, and that's kind of what we're dabbling in a little bit more. We haven't really seen the technology or the solutions kind of creep into the guest facing side of the business yet. It has been helpful in kind of analyzing guest feedback. And, when we survey our students, the last survey we did, we got 17,000 responses. So sifting through some of the open-ended
Yeah.
comments, some of those tools were really helpful for us in kind of really narrowing down what the key themes are that they're looking for. But that's really where we've seen it used, and I wouldn't say at a particularly high level yet.
Well, and you talk about surveys. Do they have the option on the ordering app to be able to rate the
Mhm.
food, right at the point of
Mhm.
sale?
They do. We try to, we take collecting feedback very seriously, because
Yeah.
what we do know with our students is if they don't have the opportunity to tell us, they're going to tell everybody else. So it's important for us to give them an outlet to tell us and then for us to respond to that feedback. So we put a lot of effort into collecting feedback and then responding to it so they can respond through the app. We have, physical signage at the locations. We utilize mystery shoppers really heavily to go out and kind of force generate some feedback for us,
Uh-huh.
which has been incredibly helpful. And then we do kind of, more periodic surveys that are a little bit more intentional.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is our students are, if they see that change occurs and if they see that you listen to their feedback and their surveys, they will continue to give you feedback.
Sure.
Once they feel like that feedback goes nowhere, then they'll stop pretty quickly.
Huh. Yeah, switching gears a little bit, but health and wellness and everything that kind of goes along with that. I'm just wondering, I'm guessing Chick-fil-A isn't at the top of the health and wellness world, but are the students
Mhm.
concerned about that? And, or is it more like you say earlier, convenience and, just
Yeah.
food kind of a thing?
So I think what's interesting is I think Chick-fil-A is viewed as healthy in the student's mind
Okay. Yeah.
because what I think we hear and see the most is health and wellness and kind of quote healthy food for our students right now is heavily linked to protein.
Okay.
They want good protein options, and they want whole muscle, lean meat proteins is what they
Sure.
want to have available to them. And so they view something like Chick-fil-A. It's a whole high quality chicken breast.
Yeah.
It's breaded and fried, so that doesn't help. But I think they do view that as this is a wholesome food. This is real food. This isn't heavily processed. It's
Yeah.
not fatty meats in some of
Sure.
those cases. And so I think they do respond to things like that. We could chicken is the king of the meat world. They want chicken,
Yeah.
but they want white meat, breast chicken. They want those types of things. And so when we talk to our students, it's not exclusively, but when we talk to our students and we say, well, what do you want? What would make you feel like you had a healthy option? It's, well, I want chicken breast. I want to
Huh.
be able to go get usually grilled, but I want to be able to go get grilled chicken. I want to be able to go get baked sweet potatoes, some broccoli, and some chicken, and that feels like
Sure.
that's a good meal for me. Whereas some of the other they don't view, some of the other options as healthy in the same way.
Yeah.
So I think it's been interesting.
Yeah, what about the vegans and vegetarians
Hmm.
and the all those kinds of folks? Do they resonate with I
Yeah.
suppose that sometimes the Indian food is usually vegetarian and that sort of thing. So maybe
That definitely has some good options. It certainly where we are in Alabama, our student population of vegan and vegetarian students is lower
yep,
than other parts of the country, but it's not a non-existent group, and we do have to put a lot of effort into making sure that those students have, again, kind of really good protein options. A lot of the time, our vegan and vegetarian options trend towards vegetables and sides, and you kind of end up with this not really complete meal. But we've definitely seen, those students aren't embracing these kind of faux meat products at a super high level.
uh-huh,
Nobody's coming to us and clamoring for, Beyond Burgers or fake chicken nuggets at a really high level. They want really good, identifiable
sure,
plant-based protein options for the most part. So that's been certainly a challenge and something that we have to really work with the team to help them understand what those students are looking for. And we're always looking for ways that we can better serve kind of some of those smaller populations of students so that they don't feel like there's nothing here for me, or this
right,
program really isn't set up for me. But also, how do we build something that other students feel like they can utilize so that we're not taking up space that's only feeding us a small portion of our students? And that's where we've seen some success doing things like, built to order stir fry, where there's just no meat options. That resonates with everybody, and you can have,
sure,
edamame and other things in there that do give you some protein sources. So there are things like that that have gone really well
yeah.
for feeding some of those groups.
So one of the kind of the trends that we're starting to see in the corporate feeding world is the food is medicine kind of a thing, or the perform using food for improving performance. And you know I just wonder if that's kind of a just a trend that's going to come and go, or are the students really looking for something like that, or again it's convenience and give me food
Yeah,
now and let's go.
I think some of them certainly are. It's certainly a thing that we hear and we see from some students that is something they're interested in. I don't think it's a trend that is, just overwhelming our programming. It's
Yeah,
not, it's not detracting, like you said, from the Chick-fil-A and the Panda Express in any meaningful way. But it is something that they're very interested in. I think students are, by and large, much more knowledgeable about what their food contains and how it's prepared. And I
yeah.
think that perception again of this is real food. This isn't something that's processed that's then being handed to me, but this is real food that's being made by real people. Definitely does seem to resonate and seems to be something that they view as, well, it's healthy because it's real in that sense.
And I'm guessing that the athletics department is probably a separate entity. And do those students eat, separate, or do they come into your dining hall? And I know they are all about, performance and
They are, yeah. It is a separate entity, so they manage their training table meals separately from our dining program. So we see those students kind of in passing, and typically when they come to us, what we see is more of the, I really want a Chick-fil-A sandwich right now, and I have to go get that kind of thing.
yeah,
So it's not something that we have to work with at a particularly high level, but we do have a large number of students who are very much into athletics and fitness and kind of at that more amateur level. So it is certainly a concern, but it's still a subset of our students. It's not the overwhelming majority, I would say.
yeah. Huh. Um, okay, so maybe switching gears again to a little bit is the big broad topic of sustainability.
Hmm.
And it's huge in the corporate world. I'm guessing
Hmm.
it's huge. The students are valuing the planet and all that sort of thing. I mean, what kind of programs do you have going on with sustainability?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think certainly where the University of Alabama is plays a role in how our students feel about it. But I think what I've seen across multiple campuses is that our students are they expect a certain baseline of sustainability programming. So they expect, there's no styrofoam. They expect that we have recycling at a minimum. They expect that we're doing some sort of food recovery. Those are some of the basic things. But beyond that, not much else really gets them excited or moves them towards us in anything that we do. We have a very small population of students who are very passionate about
Yep.
sustainability practices, and they will absolutely make it known what they think we should be doing. But then if you talk to other students, they're not going to go out of their way to do more than they've kind of already been trained to do, and it doesn't give them any extra perceived value from us.
Uh,
When we survey our students, one of the big surveys that we do ask them about the sustainability practices and how happy they are, but it also asks about the importance of all of these different items.
yeah.
And what we kind of hear from our students is, hey, we're pretty happy, or we're okay with what you do, but we also don't really care about it. It's not something that is going to make us come eat with you more or necessarily change our perception of what you're doing. So for us, the sustainable practices, the local purchasing is really picked up as that segment of it. Is how do we as a university or as how a big food entity
Uh-huh.
support the food system around us rather than
Uh-huh.
just living on our own little island. But a lot of that's really been for us, well, this is what we want to do. This is the right thing for us to do. This is how we best set ourselves up to be a sustainable program moving forward. And we'll tell the students about it. We'll talk about it. We'll share the stories. But it doesn't necessarily the pressure to do those things for us isn't necessarily coming from the students. So I don't have students knocking on my door saying, why haven't you hit 25% local purchasing yet?
Yeah.
It's really a target and a pressure that we've had to put on ourselves to try to do some of those things.
Well, and it sounds like the decision making on the student isn't, it's more about supporting local entrepreneurs
Mhm.
than it is saving the carbon footprint of moving food from point A
Yes.
to point B, right?
Yeah, I think our students are much more interested in the local kind of business and economy, and how do they support the local people. If we just say, oh, we purchased these sweet potatoes is one that we purchased at a pretty high level. We purchased these sweet potatoes from a local farm. That doesn't get them particularly excited. If I, bring the farmer in, or we post their story and say, hey, we're purchasing these local sweet potatoes from this person, that gets them excited and interested. And yeah, they're interested in seeing local restaurants and local businesses succeed, and they want to hear and see those stories of people being successful. So for us, that has really played into how do we partner with those businesses? How do we give them kind of almost business incubator type of spaces that we can bring in a local restaurant or a new kind of
Mhm.
startup business that's really trying to get some traction, and not just give them a space, but give them a space where we can help them learn and grow and thrive, so that we then get the benefit of saying, hey, we helped start that, and our students love it because they love the story. They love seeing their peers and the people in their community be successful and grow.
Yeah, cool. So, the contractors, all of them, seem to be really focused on food waste and seem to be promoting it and that sort of thing. But in
Hmm.
your case, maybe it doesn't sound like the students, I mean, they care, but they,
Yeah.
if it's high, they're not gonna, start protesting or something like that. I mean, so I mean, are you do you have activities going on around food waste and that sort of thing?
We do a little bit, but not. Not a lot. A lot of what we've done, and I think where a lot of campuses have been really successful is trying to change students' behavior through other means, so that they almost don't know that we're altering their behavior. So things
Sure.
like, we a number of years ago, the move in campus dining was to take away trays so that you couldn't
Yep.
load up 5 or 6 plates, and then you get halfway through and then you realize that you're done. We do it through kind of portion control and really trying to own that message of, well, this is the portion we're going to serve you. Will you just come back and get another one if you'd like it? We really reduce the amount of self-serve options so that we're serving students in a lot of cases.
Okay.
From a guest service perspective, it always feels nicer to be served than
Yeah.
just ladling something out. But it also really does help with that portion control, because the student isn't able to, let me pile on a bunch of food that I maybe don't need. And then other things like, when we do a pasta, rather than having a big bowl that we're just scooping it out of, we bowl it or plate it up, set those out for them to pick up. So it's a really nice contained portion. They go eat it and then they can decide, oh, I want to go back and get another one. But things like that have really helped control waste. And then on the back end, we're cooking a lot of this food to order. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of what we're serving,
Sure.
very little of the food is really being cooked ahead of time. So when we look at our operations, there's relatively little food waste that's actually coming out of some of these dining facilities.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess in some of our corporate accounts, the option for food is free. So
Hmm.
the customer's not, financially invested in the food. And I think that's a little bit similar to a dining hall
It
because
is, yeah.
mom and dad are paying the bill and I'm going in, I can eat anything I want, right? And
Yes,
I think
yes.
I think, what you were talking about with regard to portioning or, controlling a little bit of what the student takes so that they don't, it all doesn't end up in your
Hmm.
dish room garbage can kind of a thing. I mean, I mean, anything else that you're kind of doing to alleviate that or, kind of I don't know. It's a struggle. I
Hmm.
was in a
Hmm.
couple of accounts where the food was free and
Yeah,
it's uh it's hard because they take, 27 plates of stuff and then they eat four, it's just
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think what we see is, in our dining plans and the way we have them set up on campus leans heavily towards the all access plan, which for us is you can come and go as much as you want. And so I think for the way that that program is set up, it alleviates all the pressure from the student to have to get the biggest bang for your buck, or I have to make
right.
this trip to the dining hall worth it. So I think that has really helped, because they don't have that mental kind of clock of, oh, I paid $13 or $14 for the swipe, so did I get my money's worth out of it? And it's a little easier for us to say, well, just come back through later and
Yeah.
you can get what you want. We try to make sure that we're offering samples to people. So, oh, you're not sure, why don't you try it, and then you can come back. And doing that kind of thing really does seem to help. But serving the food and kind of pre-portioning some of it is the biggest thing that we notice makes an impact, because they're getting a little portion of pasta rather than filling up a huge bowl and then halfway through deciding that I didn't really need all of that. And that decision point, once I'm sitting down and I'm going to get back up and get another one, is we see a lot less people do that. So
Uh-huh.
that has been really effective.
Do you have catering under your uh
We do.
premise?
We
And
do.
how do I mean, again, that's
Hmm.
a food waste mecca, if you will, because
Yes.
the I don't know, the secretary or the admin orders it,
Hmm.
she orders 10% more because she doesn't want to run out, and then
No, no.
the chef makes 10% more because
Hmm.
they don't want to run. I mean, it's a quagmire for
It
waste.
is.
Do you have any?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I think the only thing that really helps us is that a lot of the catering that's on campus, there's always a lot of people around it that aren't necessarily part of the catered event.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of those departments are really good about, um, you know, we just had this lunch meeting. We have some food left over. Hey, there's 6 students in our office working. Hey, why don't you go in and get some, or that kind of thing. So a lot of that helps to mitigate some of that
Sure.
waste. And students are very good about scoping out where free food uh, is
Yeah,
around campus. But it is a challenge. I mean, you have the food safety concerns of, this food can't be kind of
yeah,
reused or repurposed. Um, we try our best to talk to the offices and to the people that are ordering that food to make sure they have the right amount. One of the benefits that we try to sell with our catering program is, hey, we are here on campus. So if you start to run a little low, you can just call us and we'll bring
right.
you some more. And so that has helped, especially with things like tea and coffee, where they just want to have it out
Yeah,
during the day, rather than, I don't know how much I need. We'll just say, we'll bring you one, and we'll stop in and check on you and kind of see how it's going, and we'll just kind of continue to stock you up, and then we'll adjust the bill at the end. And I think things like that have definitely helped. But yeah, our students are very good about scoping out where free food is on campus and not letting it go to waste. And a lot of our offices and departments, I think, have been really good about kind of doing that and facilitating that. So it's not
yeah,
necessarily something active that we've done, but it definitely does seem to work.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what advice would you give to the corporate food service client that has to manage the food? I mean, what should they be ready for, these students that are coming up? They're
Yeah, I mean, I think what our students want is what they want, and if we don't offer it, they will go and get it from somewhere. Is really what we found. Um, they're not overly concerned with saying, "Well, I already have this meal plan, so I guess I'm going to use this, and I'll go eat something." That even if it's not what I want, they are going to find a way to get the food that they want. So they're going to DoorDash or Uber Eats it. They're going to go out and get that food if we don't have that option for them. And I would imagine at a corporate level, now you have people who are actually earning a paycheck and have, even more ability sometimes to leave
exactly.
the campus. If you're not providing them something that they find interesting, the idea that it's either free or that it's already paid for doesn't seem to have as much hold on them as it maybe used to.
Yeah, definitely. You brought up delivery. Are you doing any kind of delivery on campus? I mean, I think some sites are using robots and that sort of thing, but are you
A
doing?
lot of campuses are. It's definitely a growing a trend in the college environment is this delivery robot and having that kind of thing available. We have not uh, gotten into that business yet. It's something that I'm a little wary of diving into and making kind of a part of how our program works. We have um, the challenge of trying to make our students happy and to give them what they want, but we also have the simultaneous problem of student loneliness and isolation, and
Hmm.
it's becoming increasingly easy to not interact with people and to not have that social development while you're at school. And so there is some responsibility that I think we feel to provide social spaces. And if nothing else, you're going to have to come out of your room at least a couple times a day and talk to somebody to order some food and see somebody. And so the robot deliveries seem like they're a little bit uh, counterproductive to that end.
Yeah.
Um, but there is a lot of pressure in a lot of cases to, well, you know, I can have DoorDash delivered, so why can't I
Right.
get it from campus? And there's there's going to be a point, I'm certain, where we see enough of that business eroding from campus that we're going to have to say, hey, we're going to have to meet this need as well.
Well, yeah, and it's an interesting balance between convenience and community.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, in the corporate world, similar to what you're doing, we are encouraging people to come to the dining space because
Yep.
what we call casual collisions. So one you know, person that's working on this project bumps into another person, and then they create
Hmm.
another they create
Yep.
the next best thing, whatever it is. And so that sense of community, is
Hmm.
a real desire, but
Yeah.
they're also, working at their desk, and they're in 27 meetings a day, and
Hmm.
they can't break from their desk. And so they, if a robot came up and dropped their lunch, that's convenience, that's
It is. It is.
so it's a
It's yeah.
interesting challenge.
It's trying to find that balance between kind
Yeah,
of the convenience and then the social need of our students and the desire that they have. I think for the students that we see, these are the students who they went through COVID during high school,
yeah,
and so they're really their kind of formative teenage years were very different, and they are a lot of those third spaces for them have really been stripped away
yeah.
and haven't been available in a lot of the same ways. And so they are, in a lot of cases, they are just desperate for social spaces that they can be. That it's not my room, it's not a classroom, it's not. It's something that and dining ends up being kind of the driver of a lot of those spaces because if you have a third space to go, you typically want some food to go with it. And we've one of our concepts, our late night concept that we just opened this past summer, we built a full blown arcade behind it so that our students have a space to go, and that's really been resonating well. They're there until 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're using the space, and it really seems to hit something for them that they're excited about. That I have somewhere I can go and I can watch TV and I can hang out with people, and it's not my room or the dorm common room kind of thing, but it's an exciting space to go.
Yeah, and that's bleeded over into the corporate world too,
Yeah.
because you're seeing game rooms and ping pong tables and pool tables and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff, and it's just a place for workers to either communicate with each other in a
Hmm.
social atmosphere, or
Hmm.
just a place to decompress,
Yeah.
and get away from it for a little while. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing. But well, so I mean, that's maybe a trend that's out there.
Hmm.
What do you think's coming in the next 5 years or 10 years?
Well, I wish I knew.
Don't
We'd all be better off. But I think the taste of our students is certainly changing.
Hmm.
Um, and they're still holding on to comfort food. They're still very interested in the things that they feel comfortable with, but their definition of comfort food has changed pretty significantly.
Huh.
They view Mexican food not as it's not an international flavor anymore. It's just what we eat.
Right.
But we're not hearing a call for, meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I want a chicken and rice bowl is comfort food and that kind of thing. So I think we're definitely seeing that change, but our students are vocal about what they want, and they will absolutely let you know what they want to see and what they're excited about or not excited about. And so our biggest responsibility, I think, has just been to listen to them and make sure that they know that we're taking that feedback on board. And as long as we do that, they'll keep talking to us, and they'll keep giving us the kind of grace of hey, I don't see this, but I'd like to, rather than getting frustrated or upset about it.
Well, and again, where do you think that as you're listening to them,
Hmm.
what are they telling you? I mean, in a sense, I mean, yeah, are they saying, again, this AI thing is huge, and they're, I'm sure, living the dream and all of
Hmm.
that, and probably programming it and making it better and doing whatever they do, right? I
Certainly.
mean, but is that something that they're going to demand in their environment, food being part of it?
I haven't seen that yet. I think their demands are more along the lines of quality of food product.
Uh-huh.
Their expectations of customer service, I think, are really I don't know if it's growing or if they're just really starting to push back more. But when we have a bad guest experience, if somebody's rude to them or if they don't, help them in the way that they're expecting, we will hear about it
Sure.
pretty swiftly. But it's really more in that they want quality food, they want good service, they want to feel like they're getting a good value out of their food, and that's really what we spend a lot of our time hitting on with our students is what do you find as a value, and it goes back again to the quality of the food and the service that I get when I get it, and how much can I customize it? How much do I have the ability to make this my meal? So a
Yeah.
lot of that feedback we get from them is, hey, I would love it if you had this as an option on the stir fry station. Have you thought about adding this? Or hey, I went here and this person was really rude, and I don't feel like that is representative of this community, and they're very quick to kind of point that out and tell us about it.
Well, and it sounds like they enjoy the hospitality part of what you
They do.
do and the storytelling and that sort of thing. I'm just wondering if some of that's going to merge with technology. So, we're just seeing a
Mhm.
lot of stuff where, people are talking to robots instead of humans. And
Yeah,
I mean, and it's becoming commonplace. So,
yeah,
now the robot will tell you a story instead of the, sous chef behind the counter.
they will. Yeah, it's a tough thing for us, and I don't know where it'll end up. But they still very much crave that real human connection. And so I think for us, it's been how can we use technology to free up the people so that they can spend more time talking to the students and doing that part of it. So
Right.
that's where I think mobile ordering has really found its sweet spot for us, is that you don't need the cashier to stand there and punch in the buttons and take the order.
Yeah.
And the same reason we use a lot of kiosks. You can free up that person to now be your kind of guest service expediter who's handing you your orders and talking to the students and checking that everything's right. And it still gives that same experience, but you're really freeing up that person to be kind of just a true guest service ambassador for that location. So I think things like that have been a challenge to figure out, but I think we really started to hone in on what works and what doesn't.
Well,
But
and
we
that's
get.
an interesting point. Some corporate cafes have fought this idea of kiosks
Mhm,
because they lose the ability for hospitality. It takes away the cashier or whatever, right? But and I think what some of the locations are seeing is just what you said, is that now that cashier is over, handing the food
mhm,
to them, telling them the story about the fish that came from this water and
mhm,
and was harvested by this fisherman and blah 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 and it it adds a whole nother thing and the other thing I'm guessing that they're concerned about is that these machines are going to replace humans and
mhm.
instead what they're doing is just allowing the humans to be able to interact in a different way,
Yeah,
right? And so that's
yeah, yeah. I would absolutely, agree with what you said. It's not that it's replacing humans; it's allowing humans to do things that only humans can do,
yeah,
and really taking away the transactional nature of going to the cashier. You're taking that part of it away, and you're just allowing the people to interact kind of in a more natural
yeah.
manner, which some people are better at than others, and we have to do a lot of training on how that goes. It's not something that we found uh, people have necessarily just instinctively done. We've had to do a lot of training, and okay, well, don't just hand the bag. You need to interact with them. You need to
Right.
talk with them when they come up and engage while they're waiting. And if you see a line of people waiting for their food, this is an opportunity for you to talk to them and see how it's going. But the technology in ordering food and creating some of that back end work allows your chefs to be out front talking to students during meal times rather than having to be back in the office working. And so a lot of it has been very beneficial in that way, but we do have to be intentional about making sure that that is what's happening.
Well, exactly. And surprisingly enough, the majority of chefs
Mhm.
like to talk about their food. you
Oh,
know,
they love it.
yeah. And so when they get an audience and they're not having to be back,
Mhm.
frying the burgers or doing whatever it is they're doing, they're out front talking to the guests and promoting in a sense themselves and their passion around the food. I mean, that just to me sells it, even more and more and more, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you hear, if you have a chef hand you your food and say, hey, or if they catch you and they're walking by and say, hey, you should really try this. It's really good
Yeah.
today. That's a great experience, and that's something that's a little bit different than you get just walking around and, oh, that looks interesting. Let me try that. That really helps you connect with the food, connect with the experience, and connect with that place. And you're going to say, well, I want to go back because I want to see them again. I want to experience their food again.
Yeah. Way cool. Well, I think, we could go on and on and on talking about this. I think
We certainly could.
it's well, to us at any rate, it's an interesting topic, but I also think it's going to be interesting to our audience because again, your students are going to be our employees in 4 years or less, and you're setting high expectations that we've got to meet. So it's always good to kind of hear what's happening in your world so that we can hopefully be prepared for it when it hits. And so I at the end of these I do some just kind of get an insight of who you are a little bit. I
Mhm.
do what I call rapid fire. And so maybe I'll just ask you some kind of either or questions and see where you fit in this. So
Sounds good.
early riser or a night owl?
Early riser.
Yeah, is it because
Yeah.
you have, the home life fits that schedule, or
No, I've never functioned well after about 9 o'clock at night. So
I hear you, man. Sweet or savory?
savory.
What's your favorite?
Oof. I'm a big potato chip guy. I can't resist a bag of potato chips.
That's cool. That's cool. Student feedback or operational data?
Student feedback.
Sometimes they cross over, right?
Sometimes they cross over, and sometimes they tell a different story. So you always have to back one up with the other. But yeah, it's all about the student feedback for me.
Innovation or consistency?
Consistency.
Okay, cool. Um, I think I know the answer to this last one. Digital ordering or face-to-face service?
I prefer face-to-face service
Yeah.
personally.
So, Andrew, this has been great. I really appreciate the time that you've put in on this, and like I said earlier, I think that our audience is just going to love it, and I think when we get to the explosions meeting in early October, you and Jill are gonna blow the socks off the audience because they just, I think our audience anyway is looking forward to hearing a lot about
Yeah.
what your students are doing and what they bring to the table. So this has been awesome. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much. This is just awesome.
Yeah, thank you.